Just real quick, this is the exact same agenda that we did online, other than, because we heard the superintendent's report, we got that last time, so we're aware of that. And obviously, I think we were just so focused on running the meeting online, we missed the new business. That's not supposed to be on specials, so we took that off. This is exactly the same. If you need an explanation, ask Donna to do any explanation that you need, and then otherwise we'll just run through the meeting, and it should be short and sweet. Great. I'll call the meeting to order. Judy, you can take the roll. I believe it's 12:02. And number 2, approval of the consent agenda, A through H. I'll make a motion to approve A through H.
Second.
And your second, Judy?
Wilson?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 3, discussion and approval of the Alfalfa County interlocal agreement for the 2021 school year. Amber's made a motion. I'll second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Number 4, discussion and vote on resolution to change the school calendar and ensure employee pay.
Any question, anybody have a question on that? It's just changing it
That's
to,
the one I got kicked out of.
yeah, it's changing it to May 8th, and then all employees will be paid till the end of their contract. And it just gives protection for mainly our support, because there were no protections built in legislatively, but the legislature's working on it now, so hopefully, if this were ever to happen again, our support people wouldn't. Our support people are fine, but across the state, every school's doing it differently, and I hate that, but that's what that is. Yeah.
Okay. Motion.
Who?
Go ahead.
Desiree got the motion.
Second.
Amber second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 5, discussion and vote on resolution to grant emergency powers to the superintendent.
Motion to approve.
Second. Judy?
Willhite?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Littlefield?
Yes. Again, if you can't remember something or need clarifications next time. 6, board to consider and take possible action in absence, no action on number 6. We're all here. Number 7, board to consider and take action on resolution determining the maturities of and setting date, time, place for sale of the $760,000 taxable combined purpose building bonds of the school district, and designating bond counsel for this issuance of the bonds. And what was the date?
May 28th at 12 o'clock.
May 28th at 12 o'clock. I make a motion to schedule May 28th at 12 o'clock.
I'll second.
Desiree, second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 8, discussion and vote to approve or disapprove statutory waiver exemption application to have our parent-teacher conferences following the regular school day for the 2021 school year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Curtis motion, Amber second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Number 9, discussion and vote to approve or not to approve the HB 1864 method where Cherokee Public Schools will document 1,080 hours of school instead of the traditional method of 180 days for the 2021 school year.
Motion to approve.
Amber's made a motion, I'll second. Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 10, vote to approve or disapprove resolution for schools and libraries universal services E-rate for the 2021. This resolution authorized filing of the Form 471 applications for funding in the year 2021 and the payment of the application share upon approval of funding and receipts of services.
Motion to approve.
Here's a motion.
Second.
Curtis second. Judy?
Willhite?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yes.
Littlefield?
Yes. Number 11, discussion and vote to approve or not to approve the payment of books and fees for Cherokee High School concurrent enrollment students attending individual sheet for 2021 school year. So that one did get revised, correct?
Yes, I revised it to be, to
Correct.
state the correct way, because last year, Northwestern wasn't paying for the juniors, but then the state came in and provided the money for that, so the other agenda item reflected that, but this, now we just have to pay bills and fees if we choose to.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Amber, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Number 12, vote to hire certified support personnel listed on attachment A. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Desiree, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Amber, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
You tell me when you're ready and we'll get the party started, because you're ahead.
I'm ready.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Curtis did call me and tell me he wasn't gonna make it, so it's 12:06. Judy, you can take the roll. And number 2, discussion and vote to approve or not to approve the 18-19 audit. Go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm a little late. The county didn't tell me we were doing work around Gulfport. And I had to recircle and get back on the road. This is your audit for the 18-19 fiscal year. There are 2 opinion letters. First one starts on page 4, goes through 5 and 6. Deals with your financial statements taken as a whole, whether or not your financial statements are presented correctly, or the numbers correct, is they're presented on a consistent basis with the previous year. It's also presented on a financial basis approved by the State Department of Education and State of Oklahoma, which is a modified cash. It's a very conservative basis of accounting. Federal government wants you to be on an accrual basis, which is not quite as conservative. We only show the money that we've actually collected, but we show the expenditures when you as a board have actually approved an encumbrance. We haven't received the goods, we haven't paid for them yet, we're going to show it's taken away from our financial statements. That way we don't spend the money more than once. It has to be approved and maintained in that year that you approve it. We can't approve it out of this year and pay it out of next year's money. So it's a very conservative basis. If you're on an accrual basis, at the end of the year, we might show money we haven't yet received, because it's a receivable and they want you to show it in the year that you said that you should be receiving it. We don't do that. We also wouldn't show all the encumbrances that we have, because if you haven't received those monies, they don't want you to show it as an expenditure. So the basis that you're on is very conservative. That's good. It's not your money. It's public money, so we want it to be as conservative as we possibly can. It's an unqualified opinion. That's what you want. You don't want a qualification. Qualification means we found either material misstatement or a significant deficiency. We did not find those within your financial statements, and that's what you want to have there. There are 3 major financial statements. There's an Exhibit A, B, and C. These are combined statements for all your different governmental funds together. Exhibit A is a balance sheet. It shows your general, special revenue, debt service. Debt service is your sinking fund. That's where you're going to collect money off your ad valorem taxes to pay off your bonds that you have sold to do your construction. Capital projects then are the bond funds that you have, that you've sold, that you're doing the projects with. Trust and agencies are your activity funds, and you also have I think it's a gift fund that's additional in there. The activity funds you're responsible for, but the little trust fund, so it's not going to show up in your income statement. It doesn't show as district monies being collected because they're little trust funds. You've approved those sub-accounts, you approved how they can raise the money and how they can spend the money. So it really doesn't show up in your income and expense, but it does show up on your balance sheet. The general long-term debt then is an informational column that shows the money you have on in your debt service to pay off your debts right now, and the money that you have to collect in the ensuing years to pay off the remaining portion. It shows the assets in each one of these fund types, shows the liabilities that are out there for the different fund types. It also shows fund balances. They're broken into restricted and unassigned. The general fund and the gift fund that you have are the only ones that are really unassigned. Everything else has a purpose. You voted for it, you receive that money for it. It's for that specific purpose, whether it's going to be debt service, capital project, your building program, your child nutrition program. You take the fund balances, add it to your liabilities, and it comes with the assets. And I will tell you, You want me to get to a certain point, this tell you what happened, I want you to listen to some other things, but I'm gonna talk pretty quick to get it out there. If you have a question while I'm talking, please ask it at that point. Or you can go back and I'll try to remember what I said. Exhibit B is an income statement. It shows the governmental fund types. It also does show the fiduciary fund for the one trust and agency that you have. Shows by major sources of revenue and major types of expenditures that you collected. It shows the excess revenues collected over and under expenditures. You see we had a decrease in our general fund. We had an increase in our special revenue. Debt service and capital projects also had a decrease. It's not unusual for debt service and capital project. You're going to collect money and then you're going to spend it. It's supposed to go out for that. Debt services to pay off the debt from those bonds you have. The bond projects under capital expenditures or capital projects. You collect the money, you do your project, it goes away. You're going to collect your money until it goes away and you don't have that fund anymore. We also had other sources. We had a stop warrant within the general fund. That's a warrant that had been issued in the previous year. It never went through, it didn't get cashed, so we canceled it and brought it back into the current year. We also had a transfer in that came from your activity fund. It was money that brought back into the general fund portion. For whatever reason, it might be something that we collected, something we paid for, and they pay us back. We had the $765,000 in the capital projects. It's a sale of bonds. It's not considered to be a revenue. It's another source of revenues because you're going to owe money on it, so it shows down there under other financing sources. Overall, we had a decrease in the general special revenue. Our debt service, we had a small increase in our capital projects, and we had a decrease in our gift fund. You take the increase or decrease, add it to the prior year, and it shows what our ending fund balance was for each one of those. That's the money that went into the 1920 fiscal year. That's the money that was brought forward as your fund balance forward into the current year you're in. Exhibit C is the budget to actual. We show an original budget and a final budget. The original budget is what you had on your estimate of needs at the beginning of the year. You cannot spend more money than what's been set up in your budget. Even if you collect that money, you can't spend it unless there's a supplemental appropriations prepared and given to you as the board to approve, and then it can be put into these funds to go ahead and spend. But you can't spend more money than what's on your budget. You have an original and final for each one of these, and we also have the actual amount that I just showed you on Exhibit B. Starting on page 7, your notice of financial statement. A lot of information in here. Not very good reading. It's written by accountants, it's written by attorneys. If you haven't read it, I would say read it, mark your spot, you may not want to start with it. But it tells you a whole lot about your district. It talks about your fund accounting, talks about your different fund types that you have, how you can raise the money and how you can spend the money. Talks about your basis of accounting that I was just talking to you about with the modified cash basis, your budgetary accounting system. You go to page, starting on page 10, we talk about general long-term debt. This money is still outstanding that you're collecting money on in your sinking fund, or you might be paying money out of the building fund depending on what kind of expenditures you have. But it shows the bond funds of 2018 that just paid off. They paid off in December of 19. We also,
Tell me again, what paid off in December of 19?
your building bonds of 2018, you paid $390,000.
Yeah, okay.
That was the last payment, right?
Hmm?
That was the last payment.
That was the last
Yeah.
payment on that.
Was that the 2014 bond?
The which?
2014, was that the last payment on 2014?
Yes. Another place that someone will know if you have a hidden liability would be on page 13 and 14. It deals with your employment retirement system. If you're buying bonds, they want to know if you have any hidden debt. And the thing they're going to want to know about is if you have a retirement program. This tells them that you do have a retirement program. But it also tells them that you have the money into the state of Oklahoma. It's their responsibility. You you give them that money, so it's not anything hidden within your financial statements because you've already paid it out. If you look on the next page, the third paragraph down, it talks about the contribution by the district over the last 3 years, and it shows the money that the district has paid into teacher retirement. After the notes, we have combining statements. The first one I showed you were combined special revenue, which is one total. A1 talks about the two special revenues that you have, building fund and child nutrition fund. Shows the assets on hand for each one of those funds, any liabilities that you have, and again, you have the restricted fund balance at the end of the year. A2 deals with the activity fund and the gift fund. Shows the money on hand for both of those, liabilities that you have outstanding, and then the restricted fund balance for it. Doesn't show a restricted fund balance for the activity fund because we consider everything remaining in the activity fund as a liability to the sub-accounts, so it shows that we owe those. So it's considered to be a reserve, and those monies are what's due to those sub-accounts, so there's no fund balance necessarily going forward because it's all obligated. B1 is a income statement, again for your special revenue. It shows the major sources of revenue and major types of expenditures. You've done bond issues, you've done lease purchases, and there's a reason you've done that. I want you to see that what you collect in your building fund, $200,000. $200,000, you don't get to do much. You barely maintain what you've got. You might buy supplies, you might buy materials. If you're trying to build something with $200,000, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make any improvements to your facilities. So you've done bond issues, you've done lease purchases, you've done a number of different things to make sure that you've improved your facilities, because you can only make a capital expenditure payment out of a building fund or a bond fund. You can't make it out of your general fund. So without doing what you've done and have a community to support you on these items, you would not have the improvements to your facilities right now. I'm not supposed to say good things about a school, but I just told you something good about the school. C1 is a budget actual for your building and your child nutrition. Again, we talked about that earlier. You have an original, then you have a final. If there are any changes to the supplement, that would show. Then the last 3 columns over there is what shows up on Exhibit B, or Exhibit C, pardon me, for special revenues. Starting on Schedule 2, the activity funds. We have over a page of sub-accounts that you've approved as a board. You've approved how they can raise the money and how they can spend the money. Each one of these sub-accounts has a sponsor. That sponsor has to do the same thing as your treasurer and your encumbrance clerk. They have to make sure when they receive the money, they receive it. They should have a pre-numbered receipt book that they're going to receive all of these monies on. They're going to receipt it down, then they're going to turn to the custodian on a daily basis. Anytime there's $100 or more within an activity fund, it has to be deposited into the bank. The only way we know if there's $100 or more within this activity fund is everybody turns their money in on a daily basis. They turn it in before they make an expenditure. They have to have a requisition. Their requisition is something for approved that you as a board have approved to spend this money on. Once it gets approved, then they can make that purchase. Their requisition is to be itemized. It's not just say, we want to buy materials, I want to buy supplies. We have to know what you want to buy. It's not a shopping spree. This is for things that the board, that the teacher or the sponsor wants, not just I want to go look around. You know what they really want. Once they get approval on that, they get an itemized invoice. It has to show what they bought. It'll be signed by who received those goods or services. If we can't find those items, who do we talk to? These are state requirements. I can bring the information. I didn't make the law. But that's a requirement that they do that. As far as the money on the collection, it is not a penalty to do that. It's for their protection. If they collect that money and they leave it on their desk or in their purse or in their truck, and they leave it there long enough, somebody's going to notice it. And if there's an opportunity, there will become a need. And if that money goes away before it gets turned into the district, who's responsible for it? School never got it. We're not responsible for it. Parent doesn't want to pay it again. Student doesn't want to pay it again. So no matter what the reason that it's gone, the teacher would then be responsible to make that reimbursement. So that's why they have to turn it in on a daily basis. And I'm not saying people are bad, but if there's an opportunity, there will become a need. And whatever happens, and that money will go away. You see the number of sub-accounts you have. Each one of these sub-accounts has a sponsor has to do those things. So they have to be trained. then you have to train them again.
What page is the sub-accounts on?
Sub-accounts are,
15.
they're Schedule 2.
Schedule.
Oh,
Yeah, just one, two ahead. You have to train them, you have to train them again, then you have to remind them, then you get new people, and you train again, and it's an ongoing item. You have to remember, it's important. Why is it important? Because we collected $312,000, we spent $325,000. That's a lot of money. This is our highest risk, it's cash. There's really nowhere else within the district does cash come into, this does. So that's why it's important that these things and these procedures are properly followed. Schedule 201s, reconciliation statement, just so that we reconcile with our depository. We have $1,300 that are still outstanding at the start of this year from the 17-18 year. Those probably need to be stopped and brought forward and put back into the sub-accounts that they came out of. If it's been out a year, that money's been washed, or that check's been washed, it's been lost, something happened to it, it's gone away. Go ahead and stop that, put it back into the sub-account it came out of.
where would it go if that account didn't exist?
It's up to you as board to determine where it could go.
So it could go back in like the general fund or?
You could transfer it to the general fund. But it's got to go back into the activity fund first, because that's where the outstanding check
I
is.
see.
So if we put it in there, and they could be transferred
Transferred
over. Page 15 is your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. This is the federal money that comes into the district. Left-hand side gives you the titles for all the different programs that you have. The last 5 columns then deal with the monies that are associated with those programs. We had no accrued or deferred at the start of the year. During we collected 315, we spent 307. We do more cash through the activity fund than we got in federal money. So that's why it's important. But at the end of the year, we still had $10,000 that's considered to be deferred. We spent those dollars and just didn't get coded properly. So now we've got to go in this year and code those dollars to make sure they got spent. Because it didn't show up for what we collected as to what we spent. We did spend it, it was actually spent, but it didn't get coded to the right place. So this year we need to make sure we get enough coding in there to cover this year's expenditures and those from last year. Page 16 and 17 are second letter. This is when we deal with internal control and compliance and other matters. This is when we check everything else. This is when we're going to go and we're going to check your purchase orders, we're going to check your receipts. Are they turned in timely? Are they turned in, put in the right fund? Are they put in the right year? Are they associated with the different federal or state programs that they're supposed to be? When we look at your expenditures, did they have an invoice? Was the this requisition in the PO before the invoice? It has to be done before they make the purchase. They have to get the approval. We look at your board minutes. We look at your payroll. We look at your teacher retirement. We do not check every invoice. It's a financial audit. It's not an investigative audit, but we look at a number of things to make sure that percentage of what we're looking at has been done properly. Over the last 50 years, we've kind of figured out what to look at. So if there's going to be a problem, we usually find it out. I don't know what it's going to be. We found 2 items we brought to the attention of administration that we consider to be a significant deficiency, but not a material mistake. On page 18, we talk about our findings that we have. 1901 says, appears several employees have been paid in excess of a contract amount. The reason for that is we have extra duties that are assigned to people, but there needs to be an extra duty contract with those to make sure, to show that it's actually been approved by the right people to take care of these items. Yes, they did that, we knew it was done, but there needs to be some type of contract or extra duty contract attached to the regular contract to show that it was properly authorized. 1902, we have receipts not turned in the activity fund on a timely basis. This is something that we talked about. We've gone over it. I think it's been approved upon this year because we talked about it last year. So I think there's been improvement with it. But we need to make sure these items are turned in. Everybody's got their pre-numbered receipt book. They're going to keep the receipts in. They're going to turn them in. We asked for there to be 3 receipts on a receipt. So the first one would be given to whoever you're giving the receipt to. The second one can be taken apart and turned in when it's turned in to the custodian to make sure those are all attached together so we can track to see what's been put there. And the third one then stays in the book so we can look at that book and bring it back to where it needs to go. Page 19, we talk about the items that we had last year. We had several of them last year. talked about continued. All the rest of those were taken care of. That's something that we look for. The superintendent's contract was not stated right last year. That was corrected this year. We had several employees were paid in excess of contract amounts. Again, that deals with extra duty contracts. We had 2 expenditures that were approved in 1 year but paid out of the next year. That did not happen this year. We had requisitions that were not complete or not signed by the proper personnel. That was corrected during the year. We had the items that the receipts were not turned in the activity custodian on a timely basis. That was still continuing. The point we thought it was improved, but it was still continuing after we talked about it. Then the school lunch fund had a sub-account balance at the end of the year. That was corrected also. That was taken care of. One of the things we always look at when we're doing the audit is things that we've talked about in previous years we've been taken care of. That's one of the more important things. When we look at this and we see what was taken care of, we feel good about everybody's paying attention to what we have talked about and what we asked about. Because most of the things were improved upon, a couple of them needed more improvement, so we brought it up again. But that's one of the things we really look at. Now I'll make my political statement for a moment. This next year, God wants your money. State monies are down. We're not going to collect what we've been collecting. If you've been watching, the federal monies are going to be down. We didn't collect that much in federal money anyway. We may get some assistance through the federal government coming up in the next year. We don't know what that's going to be restricted to. It's going to be restricted to certain programs or what's going to happen. So right now, you need to watch your monies because expenditures never go down unless you change programs and you reduce personnel. That's the only way it goes down. Utilities are not going to go down. Your transportation's not going to go down. Fixed charges on the salaries you have now are not going to go down. They don't go down. The only thing that really fluctuates going down is going to be the revenues. And right now, we don't know where our revenues are with the state or the federal agencies. So be conservative right now. That's my political statement. Are there any questions?
Very good statements, Mike.
Are there any other questions or any questions? Overall, it's a good report. Things have been taken care of that we asked to be taken care of. You do have monies, but just pay attention to what's going on. You can see we had a decrease last year in your dollars. We need to make sure that we're maintaining and not falling too far because, like I said, our revenues are probably not going to go up, and hopefully they're not going to go too far down. Right now, I would say that the state's looking at a decrease. If I was eavesdropping yesterday on the state superintendent's call, I would say they're expecting it to go down also. Not that I eavesdrop.
And I think, for us, the price per barrel is harsh, very harsh for us,
Yes.
very harsh. And then also, the time that it takes to move from being off the formula back onto the formula is kind of a,
You're at least a year behind.
yes.
At least 1 year, might be 2, depending on when it all happens.
And then at that, gosh, I've heard maybe a 16% cut in state revenue. So-
Yes.
So I appreciate you saying that because it means it's something we've been talking about for some months and trying to look ahead and trying to, keep the boat staying steady and knowing that you get to a point where you've got to make decisions.
You're gonna make hard choices. That's right.
Yes.
I have a piece of paper I need you all to sign. I have to be here. If you want me to be here, the state says I have to be here, the federal government says I have to be here. But the State Board of Education will prove I was here. So I will send in
Keep the auditors on.
I will send in this form that you're signing, have to send in a copy of the agenda and a copy of the board minutes to show that everything says I was actually here.
All right.
Thank you all.
No questions? Concerns? Perhaps groans, complaints? All right. Make a motion to approve the 18-19 audit report.
A second.
Desiree, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Number 3, make a motion to adjourn. Desiree, second? Or, I'm looking for a second.
Oh, sorry. A second.
Desiree, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
12:32.